Hello, and welcome to Pleasantview. My name is Sissy, and today we're behind the scenes in my Pleasantview save file. We're here in the Burb household with John, Jennifer, and little Lucy. We're going to take a quick tour of the house, which you may recognize the structure of if you've played your own Pleasantview before. I've added a few mod items, which I'll point out along the way. Then, we'll take a look at the family with their makeovers using clay hair and custom clothing, as well as their lifetime wants, traits, turn-ons, and a few other things special to the Burb family. First, let's take a look inside. The first thing you'll notice, of course, is my trusty mailbox shelf to put the bills. I honestly can't stand it when they get the bills out of the mailbox and then walk all the way to the furthest corner of the lot to put them down without me watching, and then I can't find them. It's a cute house, which I imagine was left to them by John's parents, and that's how they've moved to Pleasantview. So when you go in the front, there's this cute entryway with all of these flowers, which is great because John's a nature sim, so I imagine he loves this, and that his parents kept this up while they were alive. Through the front door, you've got a nice empty space because these sims do start off in the bin. They don't have a ton of money, so I actually like that the person who remodeled this lot didn't put a bunch of stuff in here because the family's gonna have to save for it. Now you'll notice these Professor Von balls right in the entryway. We'll get back to that when we go through the Sims, or maybe at the end of the tour. And to the right here, we have a nice large window and a dining area and a nice bright kitchen, which of course includes a calendar for my holidays mod so that the holidays trigger pop-ups on the appropriate days. If we go back this way, there's a door here, which leads to a bright pink bathroom. When we play the family, I may change this bathroom, not because I don't like the pink, but because it's completely in the middle of the house and has no windows. So I may want to move things around a bit, but when we play the family, we'll decide on that. And through the entryway, we have a nice big family room. Lucy is a film and literature hobby enthusiast, so I expect she'll be watching a lot of movies here, as well as reading her books. And out the back door, there's a cute little patio and a little bit of a yard. Let's go back inside and upstairs. When you first come up the stairs, just like the entryway downstairs, you're greeted with an empty room. These Sims are going to have to save some money. And immediately in front, this door leads to the master bedroom. So it has a laundry hamper, which I've added for John and Jennifer, and it has their bed here. It's a cute room. Off to the side here, there's a bathroom with another laundry hamper, considering there's 3 Sims. This bathroom also has no windows, so that's something I'm going to have to keep in mind when I come back to play this house. And over here, we have a second bedroom, which is a nice big spacious bedroom, all for Lucy, with her cute desk, laundry hamper, and this bright yellow floral bedspread. I love that Lucy has a yellow room, because in the original game, Lucy wears a bright yellow dress. I also added a box for my electricity mod. Returning to Professor Von Ball. These are actually part of a mod for college tuition. So whereas I said earlier, I imagine that the Burb family inherited this house from John's parents, both John and Jennifer Burb received college degrees, which I gave them with the bat box, because I imagined they would have gone to college, and perhaps that's even when they became a couple. In my game, college costs 20,000 simoleons. Maybe our Sims had some scholarships, maybe their parents helped pay for some of it, and perhaps they've even paid off some of the loan. But considering they have a daughter, they've been living in Sim City with a higher cost of living, I actually gave them both college debt of 10,000 simoleons, so half of what it would have cost. I imagine the other half they've either already paid off or was paid by scholarships or their parents. This puts them in a little bit of debt, so they're going to have to work to pay that off in addition to finishing furnishing their house. This gives them something to work towards in addition to just living their lives. I'll give you some more details about college when we get to that part of going through each of the Sims. And here are our Sims. I think they look fabulous. I think they look like great versions of their original selves. Lucy with her yellow and her bow, Jennifer's hair, John with his brown. To be fair, John and Jennifer with their brown. So first, let's have John show us his outfits. Now, let's have Jennifer show us her outfits. Now let's take a look at little Lucy Burb. Let's take a look at the rest of John. John's lifetime want is to harvest 1,000 best quality garden produce. This is going to be difficult, but I love the idea of Farmer John, and with it at the end of spring and beginning of summer, I think it's the perfect time for him to start a garden. I really love gardening in The Sims too. I love the talent badges and the skills, but gardening is one of my favorite. And in my game, the things that they grow are actually ingredients for their food. They're not food points. Because I use an ingredients overhaul mod, Sims actually need ingredients to make certain meals. I didn't add hundreds of ingredients, but all of the gardening produce in the game, in addition to a few other custom ingredients, have been added so that Sims can make meals. I also have a lot of custom foods in my game, so there are literally dozens of things that they can make. I think it makes for a much more interesting experience in The Sims. Now, as far as John's traits go, he's adventurous, a born salesperson, clumsy, loves the color green, loves country music, is family-oriented, friendly, and a green thumb. You'll notice that John has one more trait than the other adults in the neighborhood so far have had, and that's because John went to college. And so the way that I play, at the end of the sophomore year, when typically you would get the pop-up to ask if a sim wants to change aspirations, I honestly never really use that, mostly because I'm lazy and don't want to redo my aspiration calculator. So what I do instead, or what I'm planning to do, because this is the first time I've played with traits, is at the end of the sophomore year, I'm going to ignore that pop-up, or maybe get a mod to disable it, and instead, the Sims are going to be given an extra trait. I think this is a good way of giving them something at the end of every year or semester, like they usually get, but also tailoring it to my game style and the mods that I use. Although I have traits assigned randomly through a program running in the background, I will use the manual trait assigner to assign them a random trait at that time. I won't pick their trait, but it won't automatically be added. In addition to this inventory, John also has the Watcher Book of Faith and a Job Stoppinator. As you can guess, the reason he has a Job Stoppinator is because John is actually our elective teacher on Tuesdays. He's our natural sciences teacher. This goes with him being really into gardening, farming, and nature. You may notice that John has some skills as well. In addition to his extra want slots, his extra lock slot, and his extra trait from finishing his 4 years of college, I also gave John the skills that he would have gained if he had gone to college. So his skills are the minimum skills that he would have had graduating from college with the degree that I gave him, which I believe was psychology. John is actually 14 days away from becoming an elder. You may be wondering how I'm calculating the Sims' ages and what I set them at using my custom aging mod. What I actually did, because of the number of days that I mod for my Sims to be in college, all of the Sims that have college degrees are old enough that they would have finished college. All the Sims with children are old enough that they would have started having those children as an adult, etc. So I've calculated all the Sims' ages based on how old they would need to be to have the life that they have. So when Sims go to college in my game, that's equivalent to being an adult. It's not extra time that they're given. So for every day they spend in college, that's a day that they don't spend in their normal adulthood. This means that a Sim who goes from being a teenager to an adult in the main neighborhood will have 41 days left, but a sim who goes to college and spends, say, 8 days at college will come back to the main neighborhood, and I'll remove 8 days from their adult lives so that they're still in sync with their peers. This means that looking at John's lifetime aspiration benefits, he's old enough for a secondary aspiration. And when I ran my calculator, John's secondary aspiration is pleasure. I think this is fun, and we're gonna have a fun time making a story for this. What made him want to be pleasure secondary? Is he just acting out? Is it moving from Sim City back to his childhood home? Is he getting closer to retirement age and just wanting to spend time doing the things he loves and not working? Is it perhaps the death of his parents that have led him to want to enjoy his life more? We'll have to see when we play him and come up with our own backstory. But in addition to his secondary aspiration, I gave him 3 notches on the family tree. I did not give him the super fertility because that is something that I very selectively give to Sims. And I did give him all of the needs because I imagine that 1, being the parent means that having slower need decay is going to be very useful. He's a family sim and will probably want additional children. And 3rd, if he's going to be gardening, that's going to be very tiring and very dirty and probably uncomfortable. So I think it'll suit him really well to be able to spend more time outdoors gardening in the various weather if he has some slower need decay. And finally, let's take a look at John's chemistry. His turn-ons are serious and musical, and his turn-off is tidy. I thought that this was fun because it shows why he's attracted to Jennifer, who's very serious, but who also has a music and dance hobby. And his turn-off is tidy. He's an outdoorsy, garden-y kind of person, and I think that that's just the environment that he thrives in and wants someone to share that with. Now let's take a closer look at Jennifer. Jennifer's lifetime want is to become the business tycoon level 10, and I think that suits her perfectly. She's a fortune sim who's been spending her time in Sim City working her way up the ladder. And when we take a look at her job panel, you'll see that she recently got a promotion, and perhaps that's why her and her family decided to move back to Pleasantview, as well as inheriting this house from John's parents. So taking a look at Jennifer's job panel, you'll see that I put her in the business career track, and I also made her level 8. Now, in the base game, Jennifer has no job. This is a bin family, and they just come with very little money, no place to live, no jobs, etc. But Jennifer is actually 18 days away from becoming an elder. She went to college. Those both mean that she would start higher up in her career. She would definitely have started her career, and she's old enough that she would have been making her way up. Now that she's a president, she can actually live where she wants. She doesn't necessarily need to live in Sim City, because the way I see it, when she goes to work every day, she's not necessarily going to the office and grinding things out. I imagine that Jennifer's going out to meet with different people and doing some on-location things, not necessarily going to the office every single day. You can also see on this panel that I gave Jennifer the skills to match her degree, which was in economics. So she still has quite a ways to go in order to get promoted, in addition to needing 9 family friends. But at least she's not starting from 0. So you'll notice when we take a look at her rewards panel that Jennifer has actually unlocked her career reward. So we'll probably put that in the house somewhere. But taking a look at her traits, Jennifer's favorite color is brown. She's ambitious. She likes hip-hop music. She's proper. She's disciplined. She's charismatic. She's generous. And she's a virtuoso. She also has an extra trait because she went to college. These traits reflect that I think that the Burbs are meant to be the nice suburban family. I think John and Jennifer, at least when I've played them, have always had a strong marriage. Jennifer has a music and dance hobby. She's in the business career. All of these things added together made me pick these traits for her, in addition to wanting a nice variety of traits in the neighborhood. Also in Jennifer's inventory is the Watcher Book of Faith. I believe she grew up in Pleasantview, celebrating the religion of the Watcher with her family. I don't think I've mentioned it before either, but the term The Watcher comes from The Sims Medieval. I've never played The Sims Medieval, but ever since I learned, going through a custom content deep dive looking for religious items, I learned that in The Sims Medieval, the Watcher is essentially you, the player, what I used to call the creator. So now, I refer to myself as the Watcher, and all of the random occurrences that you'll see throughout the series, which reference religion, use the term The Watcher, and that's why this is the Watcher Book of Faith. I believe that the Sims worship, or at least believe in, even if they don't worship, the Watcher, or me, or you, the player. Now, since Jennifer is past the midway point of her adult lifespan, she is eligible for a secondary aspiration. Now, I did not calculate her secondary aspiration because Jennifer actually has a hidden family aspiration token. So I went ahead and gave her secondary aspiration of family. Since she has a career-related lifetime want, I went ahead and gave her the entire work tree. I also gave her the skilled negotiator in the fortune so that she gets paid a little bit more. And then I actually started her on the needs tree because I imagine with Lucy running around the house and as a parent, that slower need decay is going to be useful for her. I also expect that John and Jennifer, since he's a family sim and she's a secondary family, are going to want at least one more child, which I'll probably let them have, so slower need decay is going to be useful. Finally, taking a look at her turn-ons, Jennifer's attracted to brown hair and charismatic sims, aka John Burb, and her turn-off is unique. Not entirely sure what the unique turn-off entails. I'd have to go take a closer look at it, but I wanted someone to have it. And finally, let's take a look at Lucy. She's so adorable in that dress. Obviously, Lucy does not have a lifetime want yet. She does not have turn-ons or turn-offs, but she does have traits. So let's look at that. Lucy's favorite color is yellow. Her favorite music is oldies. She's a bookworm. She's friendly, and she's proper. You can see that I gave Lucy traits from her parents, since as we played the series, newly born Sims or newly adopted Sims are likely to get traits from their parents since I made them somewhat genetic. So I decided to give children Sims traits of their parents, in some cases, to replicate that. Lucy also has the Watcher Book of Faith. I did go ahead and give Lucy the first 2 notches on the needs tree, but I saved one of her aspiration points so that when she becomes a teenager, we can potentially give her the first reward in her aspiration tree. Lucy has a hidden family aspiration token, so I'm inclined to give her that aspiration. However, I may give her a different aspiration and make her a secondary family sim. I haven't quite decided yet. So when she becomes a teenager, we'll have a better idea of what we want to do, and maybe you guys can help me out by commenting on what you want to see. What did you do for Lucy? Did you make her a family sim? Did you make her secondary family? Or did you choose a completely different way to select her aspiration? I do want this save file to be different than what I've played before, but I also love family sims, so I haven't decided. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you've enjoyed getting to know the Burbs. We'll be back with them to play their first day in Pleasantview very soon. Be sure to subscribe to see what lives these sims lead. Until we meet again, take care.